What's good, Internet? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at some new Miniforce figures. Now, these four figures are from the Miniforce live-action Chinese series. They are not from the animated series, which, big thank you to K.R. Brickbot on Twitter for pointing that out to me. We have the original four: blue, pink, yellow, and red. Red helicopter, yellow dump truck, and a pink and a blue sports car. Each one of these figures has a robot mode that it transforms into, and then pink and blue combine in kind of a shirts pants mode type configuration, and then red and yellow combine similarly, and then all four combine into a giant robot. All right, enough of introductions, let's get into it. The first of the figures we're taking a look at is Blue's race car or sports car or whatever. It's actually a really nice little sports car with a gun on top. Just pop the gun off and put that off to the side. Now, size-wise, how big is this? Here is Commander Class Rodimus Prime in vehicle mode. It is roughly the same size, very similar in size. I'm going to compare all of their vehicle modes to Rodimus Prime going forward. The actual heft of the figure, it's kind of light, but it does look really good in person, and it feels good, which is nice. Though there is a little bit of metallic fleck in the paint, which is cool, if not a little weird. It is just weird. All right, transformation into robot mode, super simple. First, come to the back and remove the spoiler, put that off to the side. Then take the entire vehicle mode and split it in half, and fold the bottom of the vehicle mode down, and, well, we're going to be pulling a bumblebee here, sort of. Take the rear of the vehicle mode and push it up away from the rest of the legs, and then these black pieces will turn around, and these will fold out to form some feet. So split them open, and then stand the figure up. Next, come to the wheels and just kind of pull them away from the vehicle. And, I popped a ball joint. Whoops-a-doodle. Then come to the backpack and push this section down. And it's supposed to push the head up, but you could just push the head up from underneath and then fold that down. And then bring the arms down like that. And we're done. The figure is in blue, black, white, and gold with this weird green, I guess, hues everywhere. There's clear plastic green, and then there's colored green. Overall, it's pretty cool looking. I actually like the way this figure looks, and it's pretty nice, except there's a lot of kibble back there, but oh well. Overall, robot mode, good. Head does swivel, though it's super tight and very limited. Head sculpt, quite good. Definitely Transformers-esque. Gun fits neatly in the hand, and then you can actually unpeg the gun and fold it out to be a sword. It's supposed to use the sword in its combined mode, but that's a decently proportioned sword. I do like that. I'm going to put that off to the side. Posability, ball joint and butterfly joint up and down, and then ball joint in the shoulder. There is an upper arm swivel, and then bend at the elbow is almost 90 degrees, and there is no fist articulation, no torso articulation, but legs can kick forward and back, and can kick all the way out and down. There is a thigh swivel that is lightly ratcheted, and there's a forward bend at the knee, but not a backward bend at the knee. So posability is rather limited on this guy. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get him in any really good poses. And with that forward bend at the knee, which is part of the transformation for the combined mode, it does make the figure very, very prone to falling over. Size-wise, here is Siege Optimus Prime and Leader Class Armada Megatron. It's somewhere between a Voyager and a Leader. This was the first figure that I transformed in the set, and overall, it's a solid, good figure. Not as posable as most Transformers, but that's okay, because it does a lot of other stuff. All right, let's move on to Pink. Pink's vehicle mode is kind of like this weird crossover between a car and a station wagon. It's just really weird, and it actually gives me more Space Winnebago vibes than Rodimus Prime. And speaking of Rodimus Prime, there is the comparison. Pink is actually demonstrably bigger in both length and width, not so much in height. But yeah, I really like the look of this alt mode. It's probably one of my favorite from the set. All right, transformation starts off with coming to the canopy and pulling that off, and then splitting the front of the vehicle mode and pulling the front off. And then we're left with, well, what are obviously going to be turning into legs. So then push the rear of the vehicle mode, flip them around. The legs, once you get them to about this point, then pull down and snap into place, and that'll allow you to straighten out the legs. And then we'll move up to the upper torso, where we're going to first fold this entire section forward, like that, and then reach inside and pull up the head until it snaps into place. Coming back down to the legs, we're actually going to go into the inside of the legs and flip down these panels. That will give the figure a little bit more stability. And then we're going to come to the feet, and these feet are supposed to slide forward. You really do need some nails in here, but thankfully my nails aren't that long, but these slide really easily. Next, come to the front of the vehicle mode and flip out these little connector bits, and then pull the arm out and turn it so we have some fists. And then we can just kind of get that up a little bit and peg that into place. Okay, that is going to be a little bit more challenging because there's no, dang it, clear way to peg this in, because of course there isn't. There we go. And then finally, take the chest piece and come inside and flip these sections out. And then we can peg it into the chest. And then the canopy will peg into the back of the vehicle, or the robot mode. And that's it. Pink's color scheme is the same as Blue's, except with pink instead of blue. And overall, I think the robot mode works. Head sculpt is quite nice. I do like it, and it's definitely it's similar to Blue's. I do like it. The overall chunkiness of the robot mode is pretty cool. I do like that quite a bit, and the overall aesthetic does work. Yeah, there's a lot of emptiness in the back there, but that's a result of the transformation. So here it is next to Blue. The pink robot is definitely bigger than the blue robot. There's a definite size difference here. And here's the comparison between Siege Prime and Leader Armada Megatron. The figure is about the same size as Leader Armada Megatron, up to the head at least. Posability for Pink is as follows. Head is on a swivel and can do 360. There is light piping, unlike Blue. Then the shoulders are ratcheted for 360-degree movement. And then it does do up and down, bend at the elbow, and then an upper arm swivel. No fist articulation, no torso articulation. Legs can kick forward and back a bit, but do get hampered by the skirt armor. And then the legs can kick all the way out. And there is a bend at the knee, and no foot articulation, unfortunately. So again, two figures, both equally cool, but both limited in their posability. But that makes sense, because they both combine, and we've got what will be the pants and what will be the shirt. So we're going to go ahead and get these two returned or transformed into their readiness for shirt and pants modes. So let's pull that off. We essentially just rip Pink apart like that and just leave it. Oh, sorry. Oh, gotta turn that up. And then for Blue, we have to return Blue to the car mode. That's the easiest way to do this. And pop that off, push that down, and get this. Well, getting Blue back to car mode isn't hard. You just have to be wary that getting the shoulders down and pegged into place is a little tricky. Okay, so this is where we're going to start from. Fold it down and then split the legs apart like that. And that's where we're going to begin. With the legs split, grab the arms, unpeg them from the black piece like that, and then fold them back on both sides. And just make sure that's done. Then grab the head and flip up the middle of it and then fold that entire section down, and we've got the head unit. And then this whole section will bend forward, and we're almost done. What we want to do is turn the figure around, and you see this part right here. I want to push this down while moving these blue pieces up so that we can create a shoulder, and then come in here and pull the giant robot arms out. So then peg that, pull the robot arm out, and just try and get everything lined up. There is a way. Yeah, I forgot, missed this part. Those two will peg in there. And then what we're going to do is drop this guy down onto Pink. But first, come over to Pink and grab what were Pink's arms, and they will peg in to the sides here, and they will become extra feet, or extra stability pieces on the outside. All right, so fold that piece forward where the head is. Then there are connector points here and here that will drop straight down, and then there are connector bits here and here which will peg into the front. And I found that it's a bit of a pain in the butt to get everything lined up so that it connects correctly. And it's also really hard to see what you're doing. So get those in, and then get those in. All right, there we go. Got it. Got it connected. And then we'll take the front of Pink and peg it in. First, got to pull this little piece up, which is really hard to do. This little piece is supposed to flip up. You have to get your nails inside this little grabby part here and then flip it up like that. And then this whole section is going to peg into the crotch, like so. And then we peg the roof of Pink onto the back to fill in the back, because if we don't do that, it's real empty back there. And here we have the first of the two combine modes. And boy, howdy, does that look weird. It just looks so bulked out and funny. I do like the color scheme, though. The black running through it and the green running through the whole thing works well. It's real weird, and I can't seem to get it to stand up straight. Head sculpt, pretty good. Definitely an evolution of Blue's head sculpt, but overall, I do like it. It's just really weird looking. In terms of scale, here's Leader Class Dragon Megatron, Siege Prime, and Commander Class Ultra Magnus. So this thing is scaling to the Commander Class Ultra Magnus size. In terms of posability, there isn't much. Head does not move at all. It can look down, that's about it. Shoulders are not really movable, but there is a bend at the elbow, and you do combine the spoiler from Blue with the sword. So there is that. There is actually fist articulation here. Legs can kick forward and can kick back, and there is a knee joint, but you're not going to be getting much posability out of this thing. That's not the point of it. The point is just to look big and chunky. That's what it's here for. I feel like I've got it transformed wrong. Hold on. Because I really do feel like the arms and shoulders are supposed to be pointing up higher than they are. And it doesn't look like there's anything pegging into, or not pegged into place. Though just moving the shoulders up one ratchet, that does look a bit better. That does look better. So it's cool. Just be wary of what you're doing. We're going to move on to red and yellow next. And we've got this. This is supposed to be a dump truck. It does not feel or look like a dump truck. It looks like just a giant military vehicle. Size-wise, it dwarfs Rodimus Prime's alt mode. So, I mean, it's a chunky bugger. So, transformation for this thing starts with popping off the back, taking these big chunkin' beasts, folding these down, and then folding the feet down, and just getting them out of the way. You can fold them up, just fold them out like that. Take these bits that are obviously arms and unpeg them, and then the entire bottom rear section is supposed to flip forward like that, where we can fold these little bits out, and then flip out the toes. And they're supposed to peg in underneath, like that, and stand this bugger up. Next, we want to take the legs and pull them out all the way, like that. Stand it up. Grab the arms at the very top. And again, it feels like I'm not keeping the figure standing straight. Grab them up. Swing them down. Pull out the fists. And then there is a head in there. But you have to split the figure in half in order to flip that head up. And then just combine it back together. And there we go. Here is yellow. The coloring on this figure works really well. I love the molding. Overall, it just looks beefy and chunky. My one complaint, that head is so tiny compared to the rest of the figure. I mean, look at that. His head is so small. It's like you took a Titan Master and plugged it onto a leader class figure from like 10 years ago. It's so tiny. It's so silly. And then you take and then that piece that was on the back, you just flip out one handle bit and it becomes a giant axe. I like the giant axe. Head does have light piping and it is on a swivel. Shoulders are on ratchets. Then there is a ratchet in and out, butterfly joint for the transformation. Bend at the elbow is 90 degrees, and there is swivel. No torso swivel again on this guy because none of these have torso swivels. And then forward and back, in and out. There's supposedly a bend at the knee. I'm not going to try and force it. And there is some minor foot articulation. But overall, he's a big chunky boy. So here is, he alone is almost as big as Ultra Magnus. And obviously dwarfs Prime, just absolutely dwarfs him. Next up is the giant red helicopter. And this, I mean, the blade wingspan is over a foot. It does spin, but you have to do it manually. So for the transformation, I pull this off and just put it off to the side, because that just makes things easier. Of the four, this is my least favorite of the alt modes, because there's no way this thing could fly, and there are giant robot fists sticking out of its sides. That's so silly. All right, come to the back and just pull the entire back of the figure off. This piece we'll put off to the side. Then come to what are obviously going to be the robot legs, flip them and fold them out, and then take those wings and turn them around. That's going to be the robot mode's feet. And then come to the top, and you could see some fists right there. Just split that whole section out, and then fold the arms down like that. And then, once again, we have to split the figure in half in order to flip out the little robot head. And yes, you do have to split the figure in half. I have not been able to do it with the figure, being all combined or connected together. We're actually not done. Come to the back and split this open. It's supposed to be according to the directions, so that would allow you to flip the robot head over and into place. And I got to split in half because I didn't flip out this panel, which actually closes up the gap in his neck. So whoops doodles on my part. But yeah, robot mode. I like it. Of all the robot modes, I think this one looks the coolest in terms of coloring. There's a whole lot of coloring going on, and I absolutely love the head sculpt that it comes with. That feels like generic Bot 101, but I love it, and it just works really well. It does come with the accessories, which is the giant freaking blades that, hey, they turn into a sword. This can then be mounted on the back via these pegs and peg holes. I'm not going to do that because it just makes the figure want to fall over. And then this piece is supposed to be first got to pull this part off and put that off to the side. This piece is supposed to be his weapon, which I'm guessing is supposed to be a bow and arrow. But I do find it funny that it's kind of hard to get him to hold it whatsoever, because when you try to peg this in, the rest of the kibble from the vehicle mode gets in the way. But okay, there, got it. Okay. Man, the proportions on this thing are just weird. Now, as you can see, this one is much closer to a Voyager or Leader class figure. Let me actually get a Leader class figure in here. Hi, I'm Megatron. Yeah, it's not small. Before we get yellow combined, I goofed and I re-looked at the directions. I was looking at the wrong directions. So what you're supposed to do for his regular robot mode is first turn the wheels around, fold up the giant feet, and then flip out these little feet. So the directions are in another language and they're kind of hard to read. All right, so that is why things were looking so wrong. Here we go. That is a little bit better. So, transformation and combination. We're actually going to return the feet to the way I just had them. So, flip them around, get them connected up, and then that's all we're going to do with yellow, because really, red is going to do most of the combinations. So, there. Yellow's good to go. We just had to give him some shoes. First off, remember this little bit that looks like a jet? Well, we're going to turn that like that, and then just have it plunk right onto yellow's head, like so. Then we'll detach that and split him apart. Well, actually, no, we'll just return his head to where it was, and then transform the arms back to the way they were. Like that. Get them snapped into place. Okay. So essentially what we're going to do is make it so that this guy is going to turn up like this and then get plugged into the back of yellow and then look like he's going to, whoop, nope, that's not what I wanted to do, but this will have to do. So combine these up again and fold those out. And then these clips right here and right here will peg in to those spots. Oops, I popped his helmet off. So get those clipped in and then turn the giant robot fists around and turn them so that they are shooting, so that they are giant shoulder cannons. And then the combined mode looks like this. It's definitely less dynamic than the other combined mode. I do like it. I get what they're going for, but it's literally just red kind of slapdashed onto yellow. And you know what? This really does feel like the one mode for the original Power Rangers where the Dragon Zord comes on top of the Megazord. But that's just me reading into things a bit much. Something I did forget is 1, the giant cannons do peg into the shoulders. 2, the giant bow and arrow pegs into the one arm. But, now the figure lacks all posability. Like, forget posing these arms. It's just not going to happen. You cannot move the shoulders because those are pegged in. I do like the look. It is definitely a look. In terms of size, Siege Optimus, Commander Class, that guy. And together, they are roughly the same size. They are both exceptionally silly, and I love it. I am here for it. I think the individual robot modes look better than the combined modes, though. I really do like these figures individually. I think their alt modes are pretty good. I'm not a fan of the helicopter, though. And the robot modes are fun, chunky. The combined modes are iffy. We'll just leave it at iffy. But they're still fun, and they're pretty easy to transform. I just wish I could see the directions better, because the directions are in black and white and rather small for my old man eyes. Yes, you could see them, but there's a lot of detail lost on these things. And here are all 4 of them together. We've got blue being the absolute smallest, then pink and red are roughly the same size, with yellow just being a chunky boy. So they all do combine into one giant robot, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I've returned yellow, red, and blue to vehicle modes almost all the way, except for pink. Pink is just going to get ripped apart again and then reassembled in a different configuration, and it's actually easier to go from robot mode to that mode. So we'll start with yellow. The first thing we're going to do is flip out those big feet like I showed you earlier, and then just flip them out and get them pegged in underneath, and then split the entire robot mode or vehicle mode apart and flip up these front bumpers and then flip up the combiner port and then put the legs off to the side. And that's it for yellow. We are good to go. We got some big old stumpy feet. Next for pink, pull off the arms, the chest, the backpack, push the head in, flip that section up, combine the legs back up, push the toesies back in, flip the panel back up, and then flip the legs back up into its vehicle mode. Maybe gotta, oh right, pulled it up, so we want to push it in, and then we can turn it. There we go. Like that. Good. And then leave it like this, kind of turned out to the side. And then come to these panels and pull them up and flip them all the way around until they peg into place. So do the same thing on the other side, like that. Then take this piece again and reach inside and pull this section out and attach it down here, peg it into place. So for both arms, just return them to the way they are for vehicle mode, and then come to the sides and fold out these giant chunking combining posts. And then there are these little tiny clip and peg will go right here on the side, like that. So then get that one and get that one and peg that into place. And then take the backpack, and you see how there are clips down here? Those will get clipped into place by this guy. We just got to get everything lined up and snap it into place, and then nothing's going nowhere. And there we have a middle torso. Next, for blue, take the entire middle section, fold it down like that, then come up to the front and grab the head and flip that up like that, and then fold, while it's still connected like this, take the arms and fold them down. We want to get that back up. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the other combined mode. Fold it down and then get these situated so that they peg into place on the side of the head. Now remember, this piece, that will fold over like that, and then this is going to plug in on the head like so. And then for these legs, these bottom parts are just going to lean forward like that while these pieces stick up, because we are going to actually combine everything using these two pegs right here. And finally, the helicopter, well, we're going to start by moving that up and then pseudo transforming it into its robot mode. So get those sections out like that. This is where we were. We turn this around, and then we come to the back, split it open, and fold it open like that. All right, final assembly time. I'm going to start off with pink, and then take blue and drop blue down onto pink, and it will snap in those two spots. And believe it or not, this is actually kind of hard, because not only do we want to get it snapped in here, we also want the edge of the doors to snap into these parts on the pylons. And this is far and away the hardest part, because I can't see what I'm doing. Oh yes, and it can also peg in up here. So there are a lot of points where it can snap into place, but actually seeing what you're doing, that's another thing. So let's start with trying to get the front pegged in. Okay, that's pegged in. And there's an opening for the wheels, and then push the hips in, that's pegged in, and then push these in, and those are pegged in. Good. And then this will just lean off to the back like that. Then let's get yellow and get him combined up, and there's a hole on the bottom now where we can slide that into place. And this takes more force than you might think. Just make sure your fingies are out of the way. And yes, I said fingies. And then finally, the arms. Ah, darn it. And we still run into the same problem with these connectors. And that's just an annoyance, but it is easily overcome. Now, we have a couple of accessories we need to add. First off is this guy. This is going to form the chest here, like that. There we go. And then we're going to take this flying thing, pull the head off, and this will peg into up here, or it should, like that, and then we can fold the handle down. And then remember the sword that we mentioned earlier? Well, the set comes with this giant green thing that you slide over top to give it a big energy sword, and we'll get him armored up here. And there we have the full combined mode. I gotta admit, I really do like it. One complaint is these two accessories don't go anywhere, or at least I haven't found where they can go. The overall aesthetic works really well, and of all the Miniforce figures that I've gotten, this is easily the biggest. I mean, it is impressively large, and it looks really cool. The big issue I have with this thing, though, is, well, lack of posability, but I could forgive that. That stupid little piece that forms the faceplate falls off way too easily, like way too easily. To give you an idea of the size of this thing, Siege Jetfire and Commander Class Predaking, it is somewhere between Siege Jetfire and Predaking in terms of size and height. It's not a small toy. Now, forgive me if I sound a little bit distant. I'm actually standing up away from the microphone in order to actually get close to this thing to pick it up and try and pose it for you. Posability is a bit limited. The fists do articulate if you move the little elevators in a certain direction. The arms do articulate. They are on ratchets, and there are fists and upper or lower forearm swivels. I am really trepidatious about moving it around because the ratchet joint that these things are plugged into, when there's no weight on them, it's fine-ish, but as soon as you put weight on it, the whole shoulder starts to dip. The legs, kind of forget it. You're not going to want to move these legs at all. There is no room for a knee bend or a hip bend. It's not meant to. It's just meant to stand there, and it does lean forward a little bit more than I would like it to. The backpack is a bit of a mess. I haven't really figured out the best way to actually set up this backpack. I don't want to mess with it too much because that is supposed to be pegged in, and I don't want to have it pegged in such a way that it looks like it's just got a giant car hanging off the back of it. I don't want that, but at the same time, I don't like the fists just sticking out there either. But, I mean, how often are you going to look at the back of the vehicle? I mean, there is that. I wish there was a way to have this up here or something. That would look kind of cool. The head sculpt is just a little bit boring for my taste, or this mask, which, as you just saw, I just put a little pressure on and it popped right off. That is so annoying. Why don't you actually stay in place and peg in well? Oh, come on, you. So as soon as it falls off, it then doesn't want to go back into place. And honestly, with that tiny little head, this whole thing looks silly. I do love the color scheme, though. I think the colors work incredibly well. The blue, the red, the pink, the yellow. I just love the way it looks. And the shapes that are all over the figures, like those kind of shapes, just all over the figure. It looks fantastic. Overall, the set as a whole is very cool. I'm really glad they made it, and I like it quite a bit. It is a ton of fun. It's neat to transform, and it's just cool. It holds together, and it's just a lot more stable than any of the other Miniforce figures and sets that I've gotten a hold of over the years. I picked this up over at AliExpress. Link is down in the description. Let me know what you think of the set down in the comments. What did I miss? Did I get anything wrong? Or would you like me to see it combined or compared to other sets? The other Miniforce set that I reviewed, the Penta X, I don't know where that is. I think it's in storage. And there was another set that legit was the other set that was the KO completely fell apart, and I had to get rid of it. It would not, there's no way I can compare it to this. It just did not last. Anyway, folks, let me know what you think down in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time.